really strong word.
Yeah.
Expect a lot from them.
Yeah.
That was intriguing to me. I thought maybe I consider myself pretty good and wouldn't call myself an expert at construction. So that was the appeal, I guess.
All right.
When you hear from an expert, somebody that called themselves an expert anyway.
So how long ago was that when you first heard about us before you got actually contacted? I think I got a phone call from you a month ago.
Oh yeah, it's been at least a year that I've looked into it, and I think I looked into last spring, and it didn't fit my schedule. And then my brother, who runs the business, he kind of thought, hey, it'd be a good idea for you to go to that. And I think he actually talked to you. He did. He talked to you. And then finally, when it came around again, I saw it again. I opened it. I said, well, you know what? It fits my schedule. Let's see if these guys are experts.
Okay. So, do you have a big takeaway?
Not a big takeaway. A lot of the details, a lot of the little details that some of the things I wasn't aware of, different ways to recoup losses and to force the government's hand when you get into a pickle. Not a huge takeaway. The big takeaway would really be, hey, if I was brand new at this would be worth $1 million. I mean, it would. The guy that doesn't have experience government contract, I mean, this is invaluable. I could make a couple $100,000 in the way I handle one delay or work stoppage, handling negotiation.
Handling it differently now that you know some of the things we taught here that you might have just let slip by.
Sure, it may be 4 or 5 months before something comes up and I'll say, well, you know what, I should handle this a little differently than I had in the past.
And that can mean a lot more money.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Some people like yourself really want, like you said, you had this big doubt about who is an expert. Do you feel differently about that now?
Oh no, y'all are definitely experts at it.
How long have you known about us?
I would say probably 4 or 5 months ago.
Okay.
And I was doing a little research and had a couple of companies calling me about joining a program where they can qualify me to do government bids.
Right.
And as I did my research, I think you were one of the first guys on the first page.
Right.
Talking about this class for government bid classes education. So I like that idea much better.
Right.
As opposed to the other ideas of the other two companies, telling me that they gotta qualify me and they're gonna put me in a bidding race. I said, this guy has a 3-day class. He sounds like he knows really what he's doing. He seems like he's he's one of the best guys in the whole nation when it comes to the government contract. And my philosophy in life is always like, if you stick with the best, you pretty much gonna learn a lot from them. And if they know how to do things, I'm most likely going to be, much more proficient at what I'm doing. So I figured that you're the best guy to learn from us.
How do you feel about it now that you spent all 3 days with us?
I feel much better, to be honest. For me, it's a different case. The English language and all technical terms are a little barrier for me. So I'm going to have to kind of re-marinate on things and then come back to the class again.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And you can come back as often as you want and we'll even buy the lunch, right?
Yeah, I was very surprised and shocked with that. I know I invested into this, and when you said I don't have to pay anything to come back again, I was like, wow, that's a great relief. So I'm going to come back as soon as possible. Now I'm surrounded with a very strong team, so I'm not playing this game all by myself, which is a very, I think, for me, coming out of the blue, very risky thing to get into. So
right.
So without teaming up with you guys, at least for the first 5 years, I won't be able to do it. I won't even think about it. Yeah.
Jerry, you came all the way from Denver?
Yes.
Tell me when you heard about us.
First heard about you through the internet probably 4, 5, 6 months ago. And I've been searching to get started in federal contracting for about 2 years.
Okay.
I hired another consultant actually out of Florida to help me get started on a GSA schedule, not really understanding what I was doing. And we're almost through that process 2 years later, and now I realize that that's really not what I needed. So I'm selling a service, not a product.
Right.
But in research and trying to figure out this whole process, I came across your website and started looking into your, what you offer,
Right.
and liked what I saw. So I finally called you about a couple weeks ago,
Okay.
first time.
So you figured out how to get in here fast then, huh?
Well,
Once you made that decision, yeah.
yes, I was looking for a way to jumpstart this, because I've been at it for 2 years. And the barrier has been, okay, how do I get started? I think I actually started on one proposal a year ago and then just got lost in the red tape, didn't know what to do, wasn't sure how to go about it. And then I started seeing all these obstacles, you know, the veteran, the AA, and all these other requirements, and I just said, how am I going to do this? I don't know.
Right.
I meet all these government requirements, and it seemed like a hurdle that almost looked too high.
So initially you went with somebody else, it's 2 years later, you've invested thousands of dollars,
Yes.
a lot of time, still not on a GSK schedule, still haven't done a federal contract. Do you feel comfortable after the 3 days here that you can immediately go out and start going after federal contracts and get them awarded to you?
Yes, I'm counting on it.
Yeah. And you can. We've had numerous people leave this workshop within weeks, have literally tens of thousands, $100,000 of federal contracts.
Yes, yeah, the bonding was a concern, but you helped to figure that part out. And just a lot of questions I had that were answered in the last 2 days.
So we eliminated the problem of bonding.
Yep.
Okay, so up to $150,000, you can go after those projects
Mhm.
when you leave here.
Yes.
Okay. So what was your biggest takeaway in the last 3 days?
Biggest was just, let's see, I guess, jump starting, getting the jump start to get me past, you know, where I'm at now to actually getting proposals into the government. So I feel much more confident now to be able to go do that with your templates and your support. I definitely have no concern. I know people are doing it, so I know I can do it. I just
Right.
didn't know how to get there with all the hurdles to cross.
You're foolish if you don't come and just go ahead and pull the trigger. You got nothing to lose. You really don't.